Hello everyone, welcome to ZW3D training, and today I will give you a guidance of getting started. Today's training consists of 9 parts. In the first part, I will introduce the working folder. In this section, I will tell you how to define your own working folder, and then tell you how to create, open, and save the file in ZW3D. After that, I will introduce the file backup, as well as the configuration setting. In the fourth part, we will move to the user interface, and I will introduce how to customize your own user interface. Then, I will introduce the basic mouse operations and customizations in ZW3D. And after that, I will show you the object selection in ZW3D. In the seventh part, I will introduce the model display visual manager, and after that, I will introduce the view managers as well as the layer manager. In this slide, I will show you the user interface of ZW3D. As you can see from this picture, ZW3D consists of the quick access toolbar, pull-down menu on the top side, and the ribbon tab, which can switch between the different modules. And on the middle top, you can find the title bar. Moreover, on the left hand, you can find the left manager. You can switch between the history manager, assembly manager, view manager, visual manager, and the role manager. On the right hand, you can find the right manager. It consists of the file browser, reuse library, and the layer managers. And on the bottom right, you can find the output box and the manager switch. I will introduce more detail in the software later. Okay, let's continue. In this part, I will introduce how to define the working folder and how to create, open, and save files in ZW3D. Normally, before we start in the new designing project, we need to specify the working folder. In ZW3D, there are 3 different ways to set your own working folder. The first way is to find it under the quick primer, and the second way is to find it under the tool ribbon tab. And the third way to define your own working folder is to find it under the configuration setting. When your working folder is set, the default directory of the open and save file will switch to the working folder. Alright, if you want to create, open, and save file, you can use the quick primer as shown in the bottom left picture, or find it under the file menu. As you can see, in the quick primer, you can create your own working folder, create a new file, open the file, and under the file menu, you can also create a new file, open the existing file, and moreover, you can save the file and package all the related file by using the pack command. Moreover, you can also click the plus button in the ribbon tab to create a new file or new project. Okay, let me show you the example in ZW3D. As I mentioned in the PowerPoint, there are 3 different ways to define your own working folder. The first way is find it under the quick primer, and then you can find the working folder button and click it and select the predefined working folder and click yes. Another way to define the working folder is in the modeling level. In the modeling level, you can find the working folder setting under the tool ribbon tab, and then find it under the utility. And you can also find the working folder here. The same way, choose the working folder and click OK. In the configuration menu, you can define the working folder as well, which can be found under the File tab, and then you will find the working folder. You can customize it by clicking the folder button and select your own working folder. Okay, let's move back. If you want to create a new file, you can find it under the quick primer, and here click the new button to create a new file. If you want to open the file, also click the open icon. and you can open the file. And because we have defined the working folder, and the default open address will be your own working folder. Moreover, as I mentioned, you can also create a new file, open the file under the File menu. Let me show you an example. Click Open, and this is the working folder. Let me open a sample file for you. And because we have set your own working folder, and when you want to save the file, and the default saving address is also your own working folder. As I mentioned, you can also create a new file in the Ribbon tab. If you click this icon, is to create a new object in the same file. For example, I create a new part in the same file and click OK. And move back to the root manager. You will find this is the new part in the same file. And if you click this icon, it will create a new separate file. Or you can choose to create assembly or part or other file. So let me show you an example of creating a new part. So and you can see I will create a separate new file in the new window. Okay, let's continue. As I also mentioned in the PowerPoint, we can find the pack functions under the File menu. If I use the pack command, it will pack all the files together. For example, for this case, it includes the assembly, join, part, and when we use the packing command, it will pack all the files together. So let me show you how to use that. And you can choose tick the different options. For example, include component, join sheet, or other things. It depends on your own requirements. And you can also set a prefix for it or suffix for it. And let me show you an example to create a prefix ZWSOFT prefix for all the file. And define the saving address. Let me save in this address. And click OK. And after a few seconds, all the files which you selected will be packed in your defined address. So you can find all the files will be packed together in the defined location. Alright, that's the pack functions. Let's continue. In this part, I will introduce the file backup setting in ZW3D. In ZW3D, you can use the auto system backup. For the backup file, this is the hidden file and save in the same folder with the source file. And you can see from this picture, this one with the Z3BAK is the backup file. And if you want to use the backup file, you just need to delete the BAK in the extension name, and after that you can recover the file. The auto system backup will only be executed when you save the file at the first time every day. You could also manually backup the file. You can set it in the configuration menu. Under the configuration menu, the maximum file revision to backup can set to different value. As you can see here, and the maximum file revision is 5. And we highly recommend to save the backup file in the same location as original. When the backup file exceeds the maximum revision, the system will delete the earlier versions automatically. Okay, let me show you the example in ZW3D. As I mentioned in PowerPoint, we can set the backup setting under the configuration menu. And in the General tab, you can tick the auto backup per day after save, which will help you to save the file automatically. You could also set the max file revision here. For example, I set to 5. And as I mentioned, we highly recommend you to save the backup file in the same location as the original, and this option can be found under the Files tab. Click Apply. Let me show you an example of the backup file. So for this case, let me make some modifications. Let me change the position of this component and click Save. And after that, you will find the backup file in the same locations of the original file. And as I mentioned, if we want to recover the backup file, just delete the BAK. And after that, you can open it again. So you will find this is the backup file, and the location of this component will keep the original position. Let's continue. In this part, I will introduce the basic configurations of ZW3D. Also, under the configuration menu, you could switch the language. If you installed the multi-language versions in your computer, you will find the different languages under the UI language drop-down list. You could switch between the English or other local languages. This can be found under the General tab. And for the modeling unit, also find it under the General tab. You could change the default linear unit or mass unit, as well as the object tolerance. Besides, you could also change the background color or display effect, as well as your sketch setting, 2D sheet setting under the Sketch tab, General or Drawing Sheet tab separately. For the files configuration, you could also set your own template. For example, you could customize your default part template, assembly template, sheet template, or CAM template. If you define your own template, it will be set to be default. And here is some note. For multi-object file mode, the template will be Z3 file. And when you are using the single object file mode, the user needs to specify the file folder, which saves all kinds of the file type template. And for the temporary folder, you could also customize it under the File tab of Configuration. The temporary folder will save the temporary file, which is generated by system automatically. And for the ZW3D file folder, if you didn't define the working folder, all the new files will be saved in this folder. So this is the ZW3D folder. As I mentioned in the PowerPoint, you can switch the languages from the General tab. So in this case, I select the English version, and for the default unit, you could also customize according to your own requirements. You could find a different unit for linear unit and a different mass unit. You could also set your object tolerance. Besides, you could also change the color or other display effect of your background. Let me move to the modeling level, and you can see this is the gradient background. If you untick the Enable Gradient Background and set the color, and when you create a new drawing, you will use a single white color background. And if you change the color to, for example, to yellow, click Apply. When you create a new drawing, the background will be turned into yellow. But normally we'll use the white color for the background. And this is for the part and assembly environment. You could also set the background for the 2D drawing or CAM environment. Moreover, you could also customize your 2D sheet setting under the 2D tab of the configuration menu. And for example, for 2D sketch, you can turn on the auto constraint sketch, auto dimension sketch, or enable the external step. So you can tick it to turn on or untick it to turn off. Moreover, for 2D sheet, the drawing standard can also be selected. We provide a different mainstream standard like the ISO, ANSI, or others. Besides, for the drawing sheet, we also provide abundant options like auto-generate the center mark for hole, auto-generate the center line for holes. So you can tick all the options to turn on the functions that you want to use. Moreover, as I mentioned in the PowerPoint, you could also set your own template file here under the File tab. Here is the default locations. It is under the installation directory. You can also change to your own working folder if you have the template file. Next, I will introduce the File Manager. In ZW3D, we can both use the single object file or multi-object file. You can switch it under the General tab of the configuration menu. So what is a single object file and multi-object file? For the single object file, different file type will have the different extension name. For example, for the part object, the extension will be Z3PRT, and for the assembly file, it will be Z3ASM. And also, for 2D sheet, it will be Z3DRW, and 2D sketch, Z3SKH. And moreover, for the CAM file, the extension name will be Z3CAM. So what is the multiple object file? For the multiple object file, all the files include the assembly, part, 2D sheet, CAM plane, and so on will be saved in one file, and the extension name is the Z3. For the multiple object file, we have the root manager, and under the root manager, you can manage the multiple object file. The users can use the filter to select the target object, or use the preview to check the graphic or attribute. And also, in the root manager, you can export or separate the file. In the multiple object mode, you can convert the multiple object to single object file and keep the relationship between the files. Let me take an example in ZW3D to introduce the file manager. And here we have the single object example and multiple object example. This one, you can find the extension name is Z3, which means this is the multi-object file. So let me open it in ZW3D, and you can find this file consists of the different object type, includes the part, assembly, and drawing. And another example is the single object type. You can find the different file type is a single file. And for example, this is the assembly file, and the Z3DRW is the drawing file, and this one is the part file. For the multiple object file, we have the root manager. And as I mentioned in the PowerPoint, the root managers have the filter. You could select display all the part, or the assembly, or all the drawing sheet. Moreover, we have the preview functions to show the graphic preview. You can see this is the preview graphic, and the attribute. Select a different file to show the attribute, as well as the assembly. Choose any of the assembly. You can find the part under this assembly. Moreover, as I mentioned, the multiple object file can be converted into single object file. Just select the object from the root managers and right-click it, select Separate, and we have several options like keep the object in the original file, and you could also tick these options to open the separate file after it is separated. Okay, you will find we have separated this file to the single object file, and here you could find the extension name for this file will be changed to Z3PRT, and under your own working folder, you will find this single object file. In the next section, I will introduce the user interface. as well as the UI customization. In ZW3D, the user interface can be customized from the Customize menu. You just need to right-click on the blank area in Ribbon tab and open the Customize menu. You could drag the commands directly to change the user interface. And after you finish your own customization, you could select a role manager and right-click the user to create your own role. After you finish your own customization, you can move to the role manager and save it. Your customization can be exported and imported on other computers. Let's check it in the ZW3D. I've shown you the user interface in the first page of the slides. As you can see, this is the user interface of ZW3D. You could find the Quick Access toolbar on the top left of the ZW3D. And when you click this arrow, you'll find the pull-down menu. It includes the files, attribute setting, tools, inquire, some useful tools, utility, and others. Moreover, under the Quick Access toolbar and the pull-down menu, we have the Ribbon tab. From the Ribbon tab, we can switch between the modeling module, wireframe module, assembly module, sheet metal module, and so on. It includes the sheet metal, mold, etc. Let's move to the left hand. From the left hand, you could find the left manager. And here, this one is the history managers. In the history managers, you can find modeling process or part configuration. Let me take a part as example. So I choose this back cover. And in the history managers, you could find the modeling history of the single object. And the second one of the left manager is the assembly manager. From the assembly managers, you could find all the components of the assembly as well as the constraints. Moreover, the left manager also consists of the view managers. From the view managers, you can change the view and create your own customized view. Besides, you could also find the visual manager and the role managers from the left manager. I will introduce more detail later. On the right hand, you could find the right manager. It includes the file browsers. You can find the file by the browser, reuse library. From the reuse library, you can find some standard parts, and also the layer manager is also included in the right manager. And as I mentioned in the PowerPoint, the user interface can be customized. So we just need to right-click the blank area of the ribbon and then select the Customize. Let me switch to the transfer, and you can see there is a lot of different kinds of commands on the left hand. So for this case, I want to add a new command under the Shape Ribbon tab. So you can search the command from the search box. For example, fillet. You can search from the search box or just find the command from the list. And for this case, I will add modify fillets command under the panel. And I also want to remove the block which is not very commonly used. So I just right click to delete it and click apply. And after that, and you will see the user interface has been modified. So we add a new command modify fillets and the block has been deleted. So we click OK. So if you want to save your customized user interface and reuse on another computer, you can move to the role managers and create a new row. Let me type the name for this new row and add a description. So we have the options, copy from current or copy from other setting. And click OK. Then click apply and save it. So after you finish the customization, you can export your new role. Save it. And when you use the new computer, you can import your previous user interface customization. Let's continue. In this part, I will introduce the basic mouse operation and customizations in ZW3D. So first, let me show you the model operation in ZW3D. So in ZW3D, if you want to pan the model, just holding the middle mouse button and move the mouse. And if you want to zoom in or zoom out, just roll the middle mouse button. And besides, if you want to rotate the model, just holding the right mouse button and move your mouse. All of these mouse operations can also be customized in the Customize menu. So, the same way, just right-click on the blank area in Ribbon tab and choose the Customize menu and move to the Mouse tab to customize your own mouse actions. So for the object selection in ZW3D, you can left-click to pick the object. Or if you want to add or multi-pick the object, you can press the Ctrl on the keyboard and then left-click to select the multiple object. Moreover, when you want to change select, you can press the Shift on the keyboard and then together with the left mouse button. And if you want to call out the right menu, just right-click on the mouse. For the mouse selection, as you can see from the bottom right picture, if you select from top left to bottom right, it will select all the objects inside the window. But if you select all the objects from top right to bottom left, it will select all the objects crossed by window. And moreover, in ZW3D we have a very useful and convenient tool. So the first one is the mouse gesture. So how to call out the mouse gesture? You just need to press the Shift on the keyboard and then right-click the mouse button and move the mouse. It will call out the mouse gesture. And besides, we also have the shortcut bar. You can press the Z on the keyboard and you will find there is a quick command menu and we call it shortcut bar. And the command inside the shortcut bar can also be customized. And both the mouse gesture and shortcut bar can be customized also in the Customize menu. So let's move to the ZW3D to show you some example. As I mentioned in the slides, if you want to pan the model, just hold the middle mouse button and move the model. And if you want to zoom in or zoom out, just scroll the middle mouse button. And if you want to rotate the model, right-click the mouse and drag it. As I mentioned, the mouse action can be customized in the Customize menu. Let me show you under the Mouse tab. So this is a default setting. So if you want to change it, you can combine with the keyboard together with the mouse button. So you can change the pan, rotation, zoom, or axis rotate. For the selection, let me show in the assembly level. If you want to select a single object, just left-click it. Or if you want to multi-select the object, press the Ctrl on the keyboard, select the first entity and other entities. And for the chain pick, let me take this cover as example to show you the chain pick for the edges. So if you want to select the chain edge, just press Shift on the keyboard and select an edge, and you can see we'll finish the chain pick. Also, as I mentioned, if we drag the mouse from top left to bottom right, and you will find all the objects inside the window will be selected. But if you drag from top right to bottom left, all the objects crossed by window will be selected automatically. Next, let me show you the mouse gesture. As I mentioned, if you want to call out the mouse gesture, just press the shift on the keyboard and right-click, move the mouse. You will find some commands. For example, change the view, change the display mode, and this is wireframe, shaded view. And moreover, you can press the letter Z on the keyboard to call out the shortcut bar. You can see we have some default commands on it. And let me take the fillet as example. It's very convenient and will save the time in the designing work. For this case, let me show you the fillet example. And similarly, the mouse gesture and shortcut bar can be customized. From the Customize menu, you can find the Quick Operation tab, and this is for mouse gesture. For example, I don't need this one. Just remove it. But I want to add the extrude command. You can find it from the left hand and drag it to the mouse gesture. For the shortcut bar, we can also customize it. So let me show you some example. I don't need the draft. Just untick it or delete it. But sometimes I need to use the add shape command. So you can drag it from the left hand and add it to the shortcut bar. Then click apply. Now, let me show you the mouse gesture again. So now we have the extrude command in the mouse gesture, and for the shortcut bar, press Z. You can find the new added command is here. Alright, let's continue. In the sixth part, I will introduce the pick tool. In ZW3D, we have the filter list. It will help the users to control the selectable object type. There are two ways to use the filter list, and the first way is to find it on the top left of the user interface, and another way is to press the shift on the keyboard and right-click the mouse. We also have the attribute filter. This is used to select the object by layer, feature, and color. But remember, the filter is only available when the filter window is on. So you can see from the bottom left, this is the filter attribute filter window. Moreover, we have some other options like the ignore the shaded entity, ignore the transparency, chain peak setting, to setting chain select by tangent or connect edge. Next, let me show you some example in the ZW3D. The first one I will introduce in ZW3D is the filter list, and the first way is to find it on the top left. So, for example, I want to select all the dimension. Just select dimension from the filter list and select it, and you can see all the dimensions only the dimension will be selected automatically. And as mentioned, another way to use the filter list is press the shift on the keyboard and right click, and we'll also find the pick list. So if in this case, I will select all entity, switch to all entity, and select it. And now all the entity will be selected. Another filter I will introduce is the attribute filter, which also can be found here. on the top left. And we can choose select by layer, by color, or by features. And in this case, I will show you a color filter example. Let me pick the color from the model. So in this case, I select the dimension color. So now you can see the color will be recognized. And after that, select all the entity, and you will see all the entity with the same color will be selected. So that is the attribute filter example. And another option, as I mentioned in the PowerPoint, is the first one is the ignore shadow root entities. And when we turn on this option and select all the objects, you will find the shadow root entity will be ignored. Another one is ignore the transparency. And for this model, we have the transparent part here. You can see this part is transparent. And when we turn on the ignore transparency and select all the objects, you will find that this part will not be selected. And if we turn off it and then reselect it, then you will see the transparent part will also be selected. Another command is the champ peak setting. So we can set the champ peak for edge, curve, or face. So you can set for the tangent part or the connect part. And this is the tangent edge. And when we turn on the tangent edge and select one edge, and all the tangent edge will be selected. In the seventh part is about the model display in ZW3D. The first one I will introduce is the DA toolbar. It locates the most frequently used commands like the display mode. And for the display mode, you can change the wireframe display, shaded display, or hidden line display. We also have the shortcut, default shortcut Ctrl and F to quick switch between the wireframe and shade mode. Then another one is the view. You can switch from the top, front, left, or other view. And for the view, the default shortcut key is Ctrl with the arrow key on the keyboard. And in the DA toolbar, we also have the Visibility Manager to show or hide some type of the object conveniently, and the Show Hide Object option. So this one is used to specify object to show or hide. For the model, if you want to change the color or the transparency setting, you can right-click the entity and open the face attribute, and then you will find the face attribute menu as shown on the right picture. So let me show you an example. So here is the DA toolbar, which I mentioned in the slides. And we have the option to change the display mode. And default one is the shaded display. We can switch to wireframe or hidden line or others. Also, we can use the shortcut Ctrl with the letter F to change the display mode. For the view, it is also included in the DA toolbar. So we can show the top view, front view, or the isometric view. Also, we have the shortcut key. You can press the Ctrl together with the arrow key on the keyboard to change the view. Another very useful function is the Visibility Manager. Is to control to show or hide some type of the object conveniently. So let's move back to the assembly level. If you want to hide some model, we can find the blank command here and select the object, tick it, to hide some component. If you want to unblank it, you could also find it here to unblank all or unblank the typical entity. Apart from select the entity from the model space, you could also hide the entity from the assembly menu. So you can also use this one, blank it, and you can also right-click the component from the assembly manager to unblank or blank it. When you activate a single entity, you can choose to show or hide other objects. Here is the Show Target option. If you click it, other object will be hidden. But if you click Show All, other component will be in transparency mode. Moreover, as I mentioned, if you want to change the color or transparency of the component, just right-click the typical area to open the face attribute. And for this case, let me change the color to yellow. Also, you could change the transparency. So that is the face attribute setting. Next, I will introduce is the Visual Manager. The Visual Manager is used to control the model visual effect, including the light, shadow, data, edge display effect. With the Visual Manager, you can show and hide the global, local, and external data. Also, for the auto size data, you can turn on or turn off. Besides, the visibility, color, width of the edge can also be modified. And for the coordinate system, you can turn on or turn off it. Let me show you in the ZW3D. So here is the Visual Manager. As I mentioned, you can turn on the local displays, and local display is here. If you turn on it, it will be hidden. And you could also turn on the auto size. If you turn on the auto size, data will keep the auto size. And if you turn off it, it will keep the same size. Besides, the display effect of the edge can also be modified. And for example, the default shaded edge is in black color. We could also change to other color like the yellow. And you can see the edge color has been modified. And you can also change the open edge display color if they have the open edge, and the back face color. And also for the coordinate system, you can also turn off it or turn on it. For the compass triad, it also can be turned on or turned off. Next, let me introduce the View Manager. The View Manager is also in the Left Manager. We can use the View Manager to manage the standard view, customized view, section view, and PMI information. The customized view can save the layer and object visibility status, and the customized view and the section view, they both can be called out in the 2D sheet. Let's take this back cover of camera again as example to show you the View Manager. So we can manage the standard view, or save your custom view. Let's move the model to the specific position and create a new custom view. Add a name for it. You could find some option under the setting to store the current layout visibility and store the current object display status if you have set the layer and object display status for the model or the assembly. Okay, so we have created a new custom view. When you double-click the custom view, it will activate your custom view. Besides, the section view can also be customized. So let's show you some simple example. Create a section view. So here is the section view. And as I mentioned in the PowerPoint, the custom view and the section view can be called out in the 2D sheet. When we move to the 2D sheet and insert a new view, and select a new view from back cover, and you will find customized view and section view can be called out in the 2D drawing. So this one is the customized view, and this one is the section view, which I just created in the View Manager. In the last part I will introduce is the Layer Manager. The Layer Manager can be found under the DA toolbar or the Right Manager. And the Layer Manager is to manage the design data by layer. In ZW3D, the maximum layer is 256. Under the Layer Manager, we have the filter, which is used to filter on, off, frozen or unfrozen the layer, and select the object in layer to highlight and select the object in specified layer. Besides, we can manage the layer by category, and one layer can be assigned to multiple categories. Moreover, we can move or copy the object to specified layer by layer or selected object. Let me show you some example. Let's take this camera as the example again. As I mentioned in the PowerPoint, there are two ways to open the Layer Manager. The first way is to find it under the DA toolbar. You could also find the Layer Managers from the right menu. You can select the Layer Manager tab to open it. So, in the Layer Managers, you can double-click to activate the specified layer, and you could also turn off or turn on the layer, different layer. Besides, you could also frozen the layer. So if you have frozen the roof flashlight layer, and this part cannot be modified or selected, and if you unfrozen it, you can select and modify it again. In the Layer Manager, you can find the option Select Object in Layer. If you turn on it and select the layer, it will be highlighted in the model space. On the bottom side of the Layer Manager is the categories. This one is used to manage the layer by category. Okay, let's continue. If you want to move some specified component to another layer, so let's take this flashlight as an example. You can right-click and select the Move Copy to Layer. So if you select the object component and open the Copy Move to Layer, the default type is by selected. For this case, I want to choose Move to Layer. So I will move from roof flashlight to cover. And then let me check the flashlight, and now it is moved to the cover. If we choose Move from Layer, you can right-click the typical layer and select Copy Move to Layer. So I will move all the objects from the roof flashlight layer to cover and click OK. And now you will see all the components in the roof flashlight have been moved to the cover layer. Alright, that's all for today's training. Thank you so much for your listening, and see you next time.